Oh yeah, so Willie, you talk about like Melanie Martinez, uh Lord, Lana Del Rey, and Bjork,
Yeah.
which I honestly Grimes. Did I say Grimes? Anyway, yeah. Honestly, those are the artists that I know, which I also love. Like I've been just listening to them nonstop. So like, yeah, can you just talk about like how did you find these
Hmm.
artists and like how like why what makes you like love them so much? Because they're kind of like small. I mean, not Lana and Lord, but then I
Yeah,
would say
yeah.
like Grimes is definitely quite like not that mainstream. So yeah.
It's these artists are mainstream in the out world, but very
Mm.
obscure to the mainstream world.
Mm.
That's how I put it. Yeah, and like I
Right.
think like before I was really into music, I just didn't care. The artist I listened to was that Jonas Brother, the DNCE, like
Yes.
yeah, and Jason Derulo, like Talk Dirty, like oh Nicki Minaj. I think I
Yeah.
listen to a lot of Nicki Minaj, but like just like really like
Yes.
mainstream pop, I guess. And
Mm.
like after I really got into music, I found that like it's just like it's just nice to match your mood to whatever you're listening to, and it's
Mm.
also like it's something that's very easily digestible, and like you don't have to think much when you're listening to music,
Right.
and
Yeah.
it's also nice to um like distract you a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and also
Mm.
like I
Mm.
I the first uh, artist I discovered that was like kind of weird was like Björk, and
Uh-huh.
I basically I was watching RuPaul Drag Race clips on YouTube,
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
uh Katya Zamolskova, like another artist I really love,
Uh-huh.
she impersonated Björk on Drag Race. So I was like, oh,
Mm.
who's this lady? And then no, it was suggested to me. It was
Okay.
Björk Mutual Call, the music video, and I watched it, and I was like, this is so weird, and
Oh my gosh, yeah.
and like and then I started listening to her music, and I was like, oh my god, this is so weird, this is so scary. And because I honestly like if you don't start on the right songs, it's terrifying to hear what she sings. And like
Uh-huh.
and like
Yeah.
so and but I was like I found it like kind of intriguing, and like even though I was like kind of scared of it, I like kept going back to
Mm.
it. And then
Right.
I think at a certain point when you can digest like for these kind of alternative artists, you
Mm.
really have to go slow, because if you just like try the whole
Mm.
album at once, you're just gonna be like, oh my god, what the hell is this?
Yes.
Like, and I
Oh
hate it.
yeah.
Like, you're gonna be traumatized. So like you really have to like digest their songs.
Yes. Same with Lord's music for me. Like
Yeah, yeah.
and Grimes. I'm so sorry. Same with Grimes as well. Like Grimes, like it was just nothing that I listened to. Like say I was listening to like more mainstream pop music, but then I was like, you know what, like let's have a look at Grimes, this Elon Musk's like girlfriend and stuff
Oh,
like that.
oh, that era. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, that era, which is
Okay, okay.
yeah, anyway, so I listened to this music called her music like My Name is Dark. So it was like
Uh-huh, yeah.
I was like, what the heck is this? Like, what is this? And then later on, I was just like playing it nonstop. I just loved it so much, and that's like how I know Bryanson got obsessed. And like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I think with Lord, it was definitely like, she was definitely super popular when with her like pure heroine era. And not gonna lie, like she was like 16 and she wrote that.
I know. It's crazy.
What a
She wrote
genius!
Rapes, which is
I know
crazy.
she wrote riffs at 16. Like how? Like what? Like
I know.
she, I don't know. She's just able to put
Hmm.
put a feeling that I can't even describe with words into words and music, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just
That's the thing. I find it very hard to translate my feelings into words. So usually
yeah.
I translate that into music or visual art.
Mm, right.
Yeah. So and also like
Right.
for Bjork, like
Mm.
she's just like once you get into her music, it's like terrifying. Like
Oh my God.
her
Yeah.
music videos are honestly like it's beyond weird. But now that I've listened to her, like I don't find
Yeah.
it weird anymore, and that allows me to like explore even weirder things. Like
Mm.
she has a song where she screams for 1 minute straight, and it's crazy. And I was like, and another song, like a lot of songs, like her lyrics are so weird too. She's like, there's a song about there's a song where she wrote for the Olympics, and
Oh.
because she was like kind of popular in the 90s and thousands 2000s,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then because people know her from like the swan dress or whatever, and then the Olympics were like, hey, can you write a song for us? And she's like, okay. And the whole song is like, it's like it's so short, and it's basically her saying like, I am the ocean. It's so weird. And she's like,
Oh
and
my
then she
gosh.
ends like, my sweat is salty, my sweat is salty, and she just repeats that. It's just so weird. Yeah.
For the Olympics?
Yeah, and like at first I was like, oh, this is just like straight up weird, and I kind of like it. But
Mm-hmm.
recently she released like podcasts like explaining each album,
Oh.
and that's she goes so in depth. Like,
Right. Oh.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
she's just one of those people that like combines a lot of ideas.
Oh my God, that's so cool. Like, here's the thing. Like, what's your opinion on this? Like, should the artist or like even their author or writer themselves explain their product, their
Oh yeah,
art,
yeah, yeah.
or should it be like just not explain it up for interpretation of the readers? So like,
I think
what do you think?
you definitely have to explain it, like
Yeah.
especially for like Lord, because
Yeah.
I got into her during her solar power
Oh
era.
yes.
I started
Uh-huh.
with solar power, and then I worked my
Oh.
way back.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's
Yeah,
like kind of recent, not gonna lie.
yeah. So like when she explains solar power, like
Mm,
it just makes more sense.
true, that's
And
true.
like there's some songs that are like, especially for music
Mm,
and art, you really
mm,
have to, you can't just like, you might be like interpreting it too much, or like,
mm.
or it just helps to know the meaning behind it.
True. That is so true. Especially like postmodern
Mm-hmm.
art, I would say, like art in the 21st century, because like, and it's also like I feel like nowadays like basically anyone has the equipment to kind of be an artist to some extent. And like I feel like a lot of like more old school people think that is not a good thing, because like what anyone can be an artist, anyone can do what we would do. But then honestly, I feel like it's a good thing because now we have so much more different ways to like kind of express ourselves, and like there's like everyone can use that as a way to kind of uh tap into your ideas, and it's not no longer exclusively for a certain group of people. So personally, I think it's a good thing that there's like way more weird kind of forms of music. And like also if you think about music back then, you always think about like those classical music, which is like very Western music and very like upper class music. But then there's like folk songs everywhere around the world, and there's also like opera music everywhere around the world. So then yeah, I just feel like nowadays I'm kind of really blessed to live nowadays, because like you get to experience so many more different kinds. And yeah, going back to Lord, because I love her so much. Like I feel like I was obsessed with her since like Royals came out. So it was like
Mm-hmm.
she was a baby. Like I was singing Lord Royals so much. I sang it in a KTV. Like it was like in Beijing, there's like those
Yeah,
little
yeah, yeah,
yeah, like KTV pods, and it
yeah.
was so small, and I was with my parents, and I was like, I'm gonna sing this song. I was singing, and they were shook. Like they were like, "What is this?" Because the music video, like the KTV, they showed the music video, and
Yeah, 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 yeah,
the
yeah.
Royals music video is so weird. And like my dad was like, 點解會聽呢啲嘢嘅?
I know.
Like why are you listening? But then I don't know. Like that at that time when I was singing Royals, I was like 16, and in that video, Lord is also 16.
Oh, it's
Yeah, it was so for fun.
yeah, and like when
Mm-hmm.
they explain it, I guess like
Mm.
it just adds another layer of enjoyment.
Yes,
And also about
true.
that thing about like anyone can do art.
Mm-mm.
It's true, and like I
Mm.
think that for me, art is more interesting to like um know the artist process around behind it, because
Right.
especially for me, when I make art,
Mm,
like painting, drawing, whatever,
mm-hmm.
like it it takes, like, people don't realize that it takes so much mental planning, and like you really have to write down an
Mm,
entire essay to like start drawing
yeah.
something, because
Yeah.
it's so hard to translate stuff
Right.
into something visual and like make it
Mm.
interesting too.
Yes, totally agree. Yeah, before when I was like younger, like in secondary school, I was like mostly I was writing mostly, and then but then like I was writing also competitively, like going through competitions and stuff. And then I feel like now I really like podcasts because like when I was writing, yeah, I was like the opposite. Um, I had a picture in mind. Like I have a scene by scene situation in mind. And like that's how I write a lot of stuff. Or if I don't plan, then it's just like I just write whatever I want. But then a lot of the times it's like, yeah, I have a little like movie scenes being connected. And like there's certain times where you write something, but then in your mind you're listening to that voice talking. And then you're like, if I write it out, it's like very different from talking out loud. So then I was like, yeah, let me create this podcast because I can actually talk my thoughts out. And then, yeah, I just feel like it's just really nice to have different ways to like express ourselves. And like, yeah, I feel like postmodernism art, like a lot of them are misunderstood. And like it's so important to have an artist explain to like, you can also like connect it. You can also have a more better connection with the artist themselves. I feel like so. Yeah, I do agree with you. I definitely feel like back then in like my like English literature classes, I hope the writers could actually explain what they're trying to
Yeah, yeah,
say.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, or like just have their thoughts on like what they wrote.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly. Like, can I
And like
just not?
writing is really intense too.
True. Yes. Right. Yes, writing is like, and you have to, you really, yeah, it can be so stressful because you don't want it to be like all over the place. You don't just want to write your random little diaries. So you want to plan it out, but then you also don't want to plan it, and you also don't know how the readers are gonna receive it, like if it's like what you intended to say or something. So agree with that.
Yeah.
So like, oh yeah, and also listen to Melanie Martinez before, like her like very first like Dollhouse,
Oh yeah.
like yeah
So
that
definitely for Melanie Martinez, like
yeah
her explanations are so important, because almost almost all of her songs are metaphors, I think.
yes,
And like
that's true, yeah.
if you misinterpret it, it's like it won't impact you that much.
Mm,
Because the point
absolutely.
of her music is that the metaphors are like
Mm.
very clever.
True. Yeah, like the storytelling
Yeah.
aspect. Yeah. Yeah, I just thought it was so genius too. I think the yeah, the dollhouse one was like one of my favorites. Like it was like basically how like a child's play like thing is kind of reflecting, the society and the
Yeah,
family and
yeah.
the world. So it was she's also a genius. Like I saw her like on like The Voice.
Yeah,
Like the
yeah.
kind of, she was such a cute little bean back then, and like her conceptual art at the very beginning, like she had a little interview, like she does conceptual art, and they were like so amazing. Like, yeah, she definitely writes her music as a form of like storytelling. But
Hmm.
then, recently I also got into like K-pop, which like,
I love K-pop. I,
yes,
I, I like. Yeah, I know a lot of K-pop as well.
oh
Like
my gosh.
who do you like?
Oh, I was listening to Idol, so uh, like, uh,
By BTS?
no, 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 it was just
Oh,
like
okay,
a group.
okay.
Yeah, it was like
Oh yeah,
a
yeah, yeah. Okay.
group, yeah, and basically it's just I feel like it's such a rare thing for like that group. Basically the group leader kind of like writes the music and produces it.
Yeah, that's really rare.
Yeah, that's just so rare in like a K-pop industry, especially because like everything is like, I think they have a specific team that writes music, and like in the company they send it to these groups to perform. But then for that one, their group leader writes it themselves, and all of the members they all kind of participate in the songwriting um aspect. So like I just really love that group, and like also I can see like how harsh the beauty standards in Korea is, because like the leader apparently, like, she looks so cute, but then they were like she looks ugly. Like, people commented she looks ugly, and I'm just like, get your eyes checked. Like, no, she does
I
not look ugly. Yeah.
the Asian beauty standard world is
Mm,
so complicated. Like
I know.
there's
Korea.
colorism, there's a
Yes.
fat phobia, and like
Mm,
within East Asia there's so much beauty standards, and there's also
mm,
beauty standards between Southeast Asia and East Asia.
right.
So
Yeah.
like you know how the whole thing of like Thai actors and Bollywood actors, like they want to look
Oh,
whiter and like or
yes,
look more
yes.
Korean.
Yeah.
And within that
Yes.
Korean society, there's also so many beauty standards. So
Yes, exactly. Like,
yeah.
basically, like, having a fair skin, like, just
Mm-hmm.
lighter skin, that's like universal in Asia, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just so toxic. Like, all the 小红书, like the Douyin filters, like just stretching your
The
long
filters,
ass
yeah.
legs. Yeah, and like,
Honestly, it's so funny. Sometimes I've tried those filters and like it's so funny to like completely like whitewash your face and like
mm,
the big red lips and like
yes, huge eyes.
I
Like,
know,
the
and like
eyes
your
are
nose is
still,
like super skinny. Sometimes like me and my friend
yes,
will like face tune our face to like look like extremely like it's like just
yes, yes.
funny.
Oh my God, yeah. But just, yeah, it's just such a toxic
Yeah.
environment. And yeah, like, I don't wear any makeup and stuff, but then I feel like it was real. I wanted, like, I could try out, but then I wanted to be like very goth makeup. So I definitely don't want the 小红书 ones. Like, they're so, and then it was like, there's one point where I was on like Bilibili, so it was like kind of like Chinese YouTube kind, and there was one about like, how do you, like, why is this celebrity's makeup so successful? Like, why is her facial structure this good and stuff like that, or like, why is she actually not as good, but when she dyed her hair somehow, like, she looked all perfect and stuff. And I would just like, it just keeps on, recommending those,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's just so, like, it makes me feel like so insecure. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what should I do and stuff like that. It's just, I don't know, like, it focus on the, so, like, tiny little things, like, because like her eyes doesn't look that aggressive, or like her eyes is not
Yeah,
round, so
yeah,
then
yeah.
that's why that makeup suits her better,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
like her
yeah.
face is round, so then that kind of hairstyle suits her better. And I'm just like,
I
there's
know.
so many things that goes in, like, yeah, it's just crazy.
I
But you
know.
also get it anywhere. Like, I feel like I definitely saw this one about like Western beauty standards, and it's like basically Kim Kardashian, like the Kardashian Jenner family is like the epitome of like what Western beauty standards is trying to strive for, and like how it was like a mixture of all different ethnicities. Like, your lips has to be thick,
Yeah.
that's like a
They
very
definitely
hmm
fetishize like
Asian
mixed
fox
mixed
eyes.
race.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it was
I
just
know.
like, it was analyzing how like the thick lips were like more like African features, and then like
Yeah.
like the fox eyes thingy were like more Asian, or like the slim eyes, like the Ariana Grande thingy, like her
I
eyes just
I've I've laughed at the picture like 10,000 times. Like I have it saved on my phone. Like literally. I love that picture
oh
so much. It's
God.
so funny.
Yes. Yeah. And like, yeah, how your nose is like more white features, and like your cheekbones is more like Native American, like high cheekbones features, and like how your body is like more Latin American, like you have to
Yeah.
have an ass and boobs and stuff like that. Like, it's just like, what is wrong with this world? Like, with all of these stupid, you
And
know.
like uh on that topic, like because
Mm-hmm.
recently like I started following a lot of models and like
Mm.
I watched a lot of like behind the scenes models
Uh-huh.
like or
Yeah.
whatever or like their daily life or whatever and like
Mm-hmm.
the thing about like beauty standards is like especially in like the fashion world
Yeah.
it's always like there's a trend and like the trend comes and goes so like
Mm.
maybe now the
Yeah,
trend is like the Bella
that's
Hadid
true. Ah,
almond
yeah.
eyes hollow cheekbones
Yes,
and
yes,
like
yes.
next time it will be different which is like
Yeah.
really weird because if
I
you
know.
do something permanent to pursue that beauty standard. It's just gonna change.
That is so true. Yeah. And I feel like these trends are like, I don't know, is it also like a somewhat a thing to keep people doing plastic surgery, like keep them
Yeah.
going for it?
It's
And
definitely the
yeah.
like that's how like people advertise products, like
Mm,
so, like
yeah.
they feed into your insecurities. Yeah.
Exactly. That's just like an industry that profits off from insecurities.
And
Cut
but
this
it's also
out.
comforting
Yeah.
because if you feel insecure or whatever,
Mm.
you can just like pick an era because like we have enough history
Ah.
to like have okay, not every beauty standard represented, but like
Mm.
you can go for a certain aesthetic in a different time zone.
Yeah.
So
Oh
like
God. Yeah.
and if you just ignore like obviously like the main requirement for models is like skinny tall.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you just ignore that, but like you just say like, oh today I'm going for like 80s model
Mm.
vibe. So
Yeah.
like you can like channel that energy, then like it'll be more fun in that sense, I think.
Oh.
Oh, I have
Wait.
one tip. I have one tip.
Yes. Yes.
If you really want to find your style, like
Mm.
if you want to get into like having a style or whatever,
Yeah.
you have to build your aesthetic first. It's like it's so important to build your aesthetic. Because if you
Right.
don't have an aesthetic, you don't know what you're shopping for, and like it just won't be
Oh.
fun. You're just gonna
Yes.
have like a closet of like clothes and then like you don't really want.
Right. And you don't know
Yeah,
how to match it.
I know. So you really have to figure out like maybe like 2 or 3 aesthetics that you normally go for. And then like you'll be like, today I
Mm.
want to be this, today I want to be that. Yeah.
Wait, that's so cute. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I'll think about it. Yeah, I mean, cottagecore is definitely one. And then yeah, I'll see if I can, if anything existing in my wardrobe, I can pull something off like that. But that was so fun. And yeah, just remember what I wanted to say about like the trend come and go thing. Like now is like we're back to the Y2K situation again. Like we're
Yeah.
going back again. Like yeah, it just it's definitely a like a entire cycle situation.
But
And
also
yeah,
the interesting I could talk about this for hours. So like
sure.
the 2000s,
Mm,
the real 2000s aesthetic is so different from
mm.
the 2020 Y2K aesthetic
Oh yeah.
because it's like 2020's version of Y2K,
Mm.
and that will soon evolve into the 2020 decades aesthetic because
Mm.
like 2000s has an aesthetic, 2010s has a very distinct aesthetic, and
Mm-hmm.
we won't go back to 2010s yet for this year, I think, because
Okay.
it's still too near and we are like still cringing from it, and we are like,
Yes.
yeah, it's not. I don't think enough time has passed for it to come
Right.
back to that. So like
Yes.
sometimes when I look at Y2K aesthetic, it's I kind of cringe a bit because it's not
Mm.
real Y2K aesthetic. Because
Right.
honestly, if you just dress like Y2K aesthetic, you just look damn ugly.
Mm.
Yeah,
Exactly. It is so ugly. I'm not gonna
I
lie.
know.
Like
You have
low-rise
to you have
jeans
to
is
make like your own stylistic choices, and then that
yeah.
would evolve into our version of Y2K.
Mm. Oh yeah. Wait,
And I
that's so
think I
fun.
think
Yeah.
that when the Y2K movement started in quarantine,
Oh
like when
yeah.
COVID first hit, I think
Mm.
that has uh made alternative fashion more of a trend compared to
Mm.
2010s.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
And so like now it's kind of weird because I don't really know what our decade is gonna look like, you know.
Yes, it's just gonna I don't know, it's gonna look I don't know. Honestly, it should be fun just to watch how this fashion trend
I know, yeah.
goes, yeah, in the future. Yeah, honestly, I don't know. I should possibly just get a little bit more into my fashion. I like make more of my own little clothes and stuff like that.
I wasn't into fashion until
Mm,
because for my year 11
mm.
I took IGCSE art,
Oh,
and then
okay.
I was like I was really into fine arts back then,
Yeah.
but then because in IGCSE art basically for 1 year you have to choose a topic and
Uh-huh.
you have to like work on that topic.
Right.
And it's either fine arts or design. And then one year I was like, okay, I'll just do design just like for fun. And because like yeah, it's more free in that way. Like, you know.
Mm.
And I did like fashion because
Mm.
and I just like tried it out. And then like I remember like researching a lot about fashion, and then that made me more interested in it. Yeah.
Ooh, that
Yeah.
is
So
so
like
fun. Yeah. I think I got more interested in like fashion when I was learning how to make like tea house in like
yeah.
it was like year 12, the summer break, like between year 12 and like university. And like basically I saw this shop, and then it was like a tea workshop for teacher. And like she talked about how like basically the tea she made were not like the tea that you imagine, which is like the kind of like the 60s like Shanghai style tea but it's rather like a more traditional one where it's like more Peking style. And like back then when those moms were actually making clothes for their kids, so it was like no, you don't really need a ruler at all. You just really need like a string and then not much measurements at all. You just need you don't even need to draw any like anything. You don't have to make a mock-up. Nothing. It's just like you just draw it and you cut it and you make it and then it will fit you really well and then it's gonna look awesome. And it's like before it was like made with love by these moms. And it's not, and she talked about how fashion like back then is like yeah, basically I remember so clearly she was like conclusion is like humans don't need to wear clothes. But that was really funny to hear from her. But then, yeah, she talked about how like people thought this qipao thing is from like the Manchu people. So like in the Qing dynasty, it was from evolved from their clothes. But then she talked about how like in Chinese culture, it was like every single culture borrows elements from a different um kind of I don't know how to say it, but like a 民族, ethnic group, I would say. Like it's not really just Manchu people. It was like they borrow elements from like the hands and they borrow elements from like people around them. And it was just such a refreshing way to see fashion as like um something representative of the like basically of the life back then of like mother hard work and like also how it relates to culture. And also it was such a sustainable way of making clothes because you don't need to waste any fabric. Like every single piece of the fabric can be used somewhere in the piece of clothes and you just hand sew it. You don't even need a sewing machine. So it was just super fun to see that thing and also learn from her. And I feel like that was when I was like into clothes and like fashions in general. Like it was just where I realized how far we come from that to like nowadays and how different it is. And yeah, it was just super super fun to learn from her, and that's how I got into it. And like yeah, which is a very interesting way. But then yeah,
No, that's really nice. Like as like a historical thing.
yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
And yeah, and she even looked into like very old like Chinese books about like how to make clothes, like how to what is the um like what are the standards and what are the requirements. And yeah, she really loved Chinese culture and also like she was really dedicated to researching about this fashion thing. So, and then now I'm currently learning like the qipao and like the more traditional, like the ones that you see in movies, like the
Yeah.
60s one, yeah, the really tight ones. And oh my God, like it was so hard. Like it was like when you're learning it, you feel like you're doing math equations, which is like you're just calculating and measuring everything. And it was like it's so I don't know, it's so deep sun, like it just really is like skin tight-ish. And it's definitely not something that I typically wear, but then I feel really confident in it. Like it was really fun to try it on and try different stuff. So yeah, it feels great to make your own clothes, but
Yeah, yeah.
it takes time. Not gonna lie.
I know. Yeah. And like I
Mm-hmm.
think also like about that, people
Mm.
kind of like assume that um like the thing about fashion is like if you want to be fashionable, like obviously you
Mm.
have to spend money,
Yeah.
but there's
Yeah.
also ways to do it on a budget. And
Mm.
I don't think the solution is to like shop at Shein or
Oh yeah.
like
No, not that.
like
Yeah.
AliExpress or like Taobao
Oh,
or whatever.
Taobao.
I
Yeah.
know it's like I'm like I know you can't afford this, but like just wait until you can afford something nicer, or like just like try to find it at a secondhand store. Cause
Yeah.
like people don't realize that like clothes just like take time, take money and like resources to make.
Exact.
And
Yeah.
like you
That's so
really
true.
think this like $1 US dollar
Mm.
skirt is like ethically sourced? Like no, obviously not.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. I want sustainable fashion, like
Yeah,
fashion
so like
industry.
I guess if you make your own clothes, you realize
Yes.
that
How much effort.
and
Yeah.
like the value of like actual
Exactly.
textiles and stuff like that.
Yes, exactly. And also, if you make it from just buying your own fabric, it's actually way cheaper than buying, which makes sense. Like it's cheaper than buying it from like a store. And like sustainable fashion. Oh my God, yeah, we can talk about this forever because like I'm also in this like research project on sustainable fashion. And
Yeah,
yes, the like the waste of like fashion industries is like it's huge and so
it's crazy.
little. Yeah, so little gets recycled. Like there isn't that much that is going to be recycled. It's just going to get into the landfill. And if they are recycled, they are like, look at a source from like mainland China. A lot of them are basically just sold to um, Africa or like India. Like those two are like really popular, uh, basically results of like your fashion waste. If they don't get into the landfill, that's what happened. And then also like a lot of people believe that it just gets donated to like rural area kids and like families, but that's like only like a few percent, like 10% I would say. And then a lot of them will get downcycled, like those fabric is gonna like get broken down and then made into like your maybe like car seat fabric or like your aircon filter, stuff like that. So that's also another way. And like some people also just DIY it themselves. So like those are some very popular um ways where of how your like fashion ways go, which like I mean it's good that they're still like doing some recycling, but then it's like if you can like if you don't buy that stuff that much, then you're not going to produce that much waste, which is like the best case scenario. But then
Yeah,
I do get that like a lot of Asian people do not like secondhand shopping and stuff because, and I kind of understand where I'm coming from, like basically from most of them are concerned about like hygienes, like whether it's
yeah,
clean or not, or like if there's like a broken stuff or like and hidden flaws or stuff like that. But so then that's why in this project, I really want to find out like basically I want to find out like if those people who throw these clothes out, what are the reasons why they throw these clothes out? Is it because like they think it's trash, so then they just chuck it out? Or because like their kids are now older, so then they can no longer fit in the clothes, so then they will like kind of throw it out, donate it out, or like they change their style, they're down, they're no, they want to downsize their wardrobe. Like, what are the reasons why they do that? I feel like if we know what are the reasons why people donate clothes, then we will be able to understand like actually the sources of those clothes from your secondhand shops. They're not as dirty as you think. Like they're just
yeah.
yeah. So I just
Most of the clothes I buy,
mm-hmm.
I actually buy a lot of like people's high school sports day shirts. I have
Yes.
one that's like I have it right here. Um, there's
Mm.
a
Oh my gosh.
like because they import
Ooh.
a lot of stuff from like Japan or whatever. There's like
Mm.
really cute patterns and like this has like ants on it and
Oh.
it's like cute or whatever.
Oh wait, that's why I saw you wear one to like the gardening. Like it was like a Noble
Oh, that was my
something.
school.
Oh, that was your school. Oh. Okay.
But
Yes.
yeah, like and like I think like the stuff I see in thrift shops is mostly just like either overstock or just people like clothes that are just left behind in people's houses. Like
Yeah.
they just don't wear anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And like
Exactly.
also people think that like you're buying these kind of like antique clothes from like really old people. Like most of the clothes there are like modern. Like they're not gonna be haunted or like
Yeah.
the literally
Oh
my
gosh,
my
yeah.
grandparents like call me all the time and they're like, you could have bad feng shui and like
Yeah.
your chi isn't
Ooh,
good and then that's why
taboo.
you fail your exams.
Oh my
And I was
gosh.
like, no.
Yeah. Wait, yeah. Oh my God. I saw a really nice like a cheap house style
Mhm.
like clothes. And then I was like I found that in a pile of like just granny's clothes. Like it was like it was clearly it was a granny who has worn it. And my mom was like, "Wait, maybe the granny passed away. So that's
Yeah,
why."
yeah.
And I'm like, I don't, do I care about this? Like
I
it's a cute
know.
clothes. And
The only
like
concern you have about the clothes is like if you had fleas in it and you just like
yeah.
wash it in hot water and it's gone. Like that's it.
Right. Wait, so yeah, so it's actually I would say it's kind of easy to actually clean them.
Yeah.
And yeah, so oh, that's so nice. I mean, it would just be nice if I can I would definitely continue to join this project and like yeah, I was thinking about like the interview, the in focus group interviews. Like I was trying to like maybe ask you guys like why what are some reasons why you would like, you know, potentially donate your clothes? And yeah, I feel like it's just people it's so weird because people assume that others are just really mean and just they're just
It's definitely
weird.
the I feel like that's the Chinese mentality. You're
Yes.
always like scared and
Yeah,
like
yeah, the
yeah.
others are bad,
Yeah,
always
yeah, yeah,
mean.
yeah. You
Always
just
want to stab you in the
assume the
back.
worst.
Yeah, that's
I
so
know.
true. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so nice too. Yeah, where do you normally thrift in Hong Kong?
Bangkok.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, Wan Zai has a lot of stuff as well.
Oh,
But usually the
okay.
me and G
Okay.
is definitely I I think Malaysia has a better. It's nicer to trip in Malaysia because like
Oh, yeah.
first of all, there's more bundle shops like these shops
Right.
that like, get like bundles of clothes and they just like sell them.
Mm,
So like how it works in Malaysia is like you go to these bundle stores, they're like really big warehouses and
right.
uh honestly it's like bright lights and you just go in and have a headache because it's so bright and you're like digging through like racks of clothes. But like, it's
Oh God,
spacious and
yeah.
the thing about Hong
Mm,
Kong is like it's not spacious.
yes,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
so cramped. Yeah.
And you really have to dig and then find gold and
Yes.
but usually people that go there are
Mm.
resellers and they find those pieces that are really special and they resell them at like
Oh.
nicer thrift stores
Oh.
or like their own businesses or like
Right.
yeah
Like
and
that's
then
so smart.
they mark up the prices and some stores
Mm.
mark up like reasonably like I still don't mind paying that much
Right. Right.
but uh some stores just like go crazy with it
Yeah.
and
Oh
and
God. Yeah.
so the best place to like thrift in Malaysia is you have to go to like markets like thrift events
Mm.
they are usually hosted by like artsy people and like small businesses
Oh. Yeah.
so they
Yeah.
just sell their collections that they've
Right.
found or like their
Right.
own personal collections
Mm.
and then they usually sell them for quite cheap
Mm.
and usually those fairs they make a lot of like necklaces and stuff like that too. Yeah.
That's so cute. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah, on the topic of thrifting, I talked to like a friend and she's now in like living in London. Like she's in UAL and stuff. And like she was like thrifting in London is like so expensive because they mark it up so high. Like cuz
Yeah.
thrifting is like a trend, right? Like in those Western countries. Like it's you're a cool kid if you go thrifting and but then the price is like almost the same as a brand new one. Like she was like, I'm not gonna spend that money and buy one piece of clothes for the same
Mhm.
price as something that I can get brand new. And like, and she was like, but then she felt guilty about, you know, thinking about that because she was like, thrifting is like more environmentally friendly, like you're producing less fashion waste. But then I was also thinking like it's not her problem, like it's just how the business and how capitalism makes it think like it's
Mm-hmm.
your responsibility to upcycle and to recycle. And they were like promoting recycling. Meanwhile, the company themselves is like the biggest factor that is producing all sorts of waste. Which, like, honestly, this is okay. I can definitely keep on talking about this recycling thing because I think also in just so many things like straws, basically, or like bags and stuff like that,
Yeah.
they make it seem like, oh, I'm throwing so much of this plastic and I'm throwing so much of this and that, like I should use a reusable straw, but then they don't tell you how much the company wastes and like pollutes when they're producing these products, and they just feel like they want to give all of that responsibility to the consumers while when it's like consumers can do so little about the environment.
Yeah. It's like the whole greenwashing thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And I don't know, like it's now a whole it's like a huge buzzword, and it's like basically it's just I feel like it's just something that um they do to as a marketing strategy, and it's just so sad because like they have a I feel like consumers have a good heart. They want to make an impact, but then they're also brainwashed to think that they can make an impact while the biggest person that can make an impact is the company themselves. And yeah, it's just really annoying to see that. So I was telling my friend, like, just don't feel guilty about that because it's not your problem to,
Yeah.
yeah, not want to buy overpriced clothes.
And definitely
Old.
like
Mm,
if anyone's like planning to thrift, like if
mm-hmm.
you want special things,
Yeah.
obviously you have to go to these specialty shops.
Yeah.
But they usually only sell like branded things. And
Mm,
when it's branded things, like it's more justifiable to pay more.
yeah, that's true.
And
Yes.
to me like I don't really value this sounds so privileged, but like I don't really value
Mm,
money as much as
mm,
that. Like I'm not gonna buy new stuff anyway, so I might
mm,
as well spend more on secondhand things.
mm.
And
Yeah.
like yeah, like I feel like a lot of people like have that mentality of like there's literally no point in buying like new things. If if
Mm,
if you don't mind like stuff that are like still in good condition, like just has
mm.
been worn before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the whole mentality thing. Like it's if whatever you think, then it's it will shape how you view like these thrift shops and secondhand stores. But
Yeah.
yeah, and I want to say about like the comment you made about like value and money, and I do agree like for us we are definitely like super privileged. But then I've been thinking about this for so long. It's like I sometimes I talk to like people like they're literally like a ball of negative energy, and they complain about how unlucky they are. And was just thinking like this is like a chicken or the egg question. Like are they like very unlucky, which makes them like very miserable and very negative, or because they're very miserable and negative, that's why they see everything in a very negative, like they think they're very unlucky um
That's the thing, yeah.
in the world. Yeah, like which one affects it first? Like is it like the event, the unlucky event that impacted them, which leads them to have this mentality first, or because they have this mentality which makes them like an unlucky person? Like I was just thinking about that so much. But anyway, yes.
I know. And like the weird thing is like for our generation and like
Mm-hmm.
if you are in like a middle class and like if you go to uni, you're like obviously in the middle class already. Like if you are not
Yes,
here by like
yeah.
subsidy or like anything,
Mm,
like if you pay tuition. And then
right.
like so it always like blows my mind how people are like they always go for the cheapest option, but
Mm,
like it's not that sustain or like they fuss over money so much. But I'm
right.
like if you're at this age where you're not an adult yet, where you don't
Yeah.
have to worry about rent or like working, like where you're like a student basically. I'm like just
Yeah.
manage your budget. Like I think that's just like
Yeah.
more important than like whatever.
Exactly.
You're like complaining
Yeah.
over nothing.
Yes. But then I agree with that. Like, there are people that just buy a lot of cheap stuff, which I feel like there are things that are worth investing. Like you pay for that
Yeah,
amount of
yeah,
money.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like it's worth that amount. You can use it for longer. Especially like shoes. I think shoes are so important because
I know.
yeah, like if you have a bad pair of shoes, like you can't really walk that long at all. But then I really like
Yeah,
walking.
that's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
if I hear someone like complain about the price of the shoe, I'm
Mm.
like, I'm like, I'm like, I like just like spend less here, and like if you already know like shoes are going to be expensive, like all shoes are expensive. Like you can't, it's something you can't avoid.
Yes.
Like so, like you can complain about money, but like you have to understand that like things can be expensive.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, if you want to look for like something with a good quality, they will
I
get
know.
expensive. So, yeah, thank you so much, Willie. And like looking forward to do more of this
For
with you.
sure. This was so
Yes.
fun.